Welcome back, everyone, and thank you once again to Torah Anytime for posting this series. I want to thank the Pfeiffer Mishpacha for sponsoring today's motivational mindset as a zechus for refuah shalema for Rivka Bas Chaya Miriam and her husband Tzvi Ben Basia, who both have COVID and need a refuah shalema b'karov. There's a story told about a young man named Elisha who boards a bus in Yerushalayim, sitting down next to this older rabbinic-looking fellow. And he starts telling him that what he does for a living is he tries to deal with the youth of Yerushalayim who are out on the streets and tries to bring them closer to Yiddishkeit. And he was telling him that it's a rather difficult task. And the rabbi looked at him and he said, "Let me tell you something." He said, "I was actually one of those youth when I was growing up." He said, "Before I turned bar mitzvah, I had earned the title of ha'avaryan, the criminal. I was out on the streets, always up to no good." He said, "My friends and I were playing soccer one Shabbos morning, and we kicked the ball so hard, it went all the way towards the shul right next door, and right then the rabbi of the shul was coming out, and the soccer ball hit him right in the head and knocked off his hat, and all of us started cracking up." Well, the rabbi, who remained perfectly calm, came over, and he said to me, he said, "You know what?" He said, "Are you hungry? Do you need a meal? Do you want to come on over for the Shabbos meal?" And I actually had been starving at that time, and I said to him, "You know what, fine, okay, I'll come on over to your house." He came over, and the rabbi in Rebbitzin fed me an unbelievable meal. And then that night, when I was about to leave, but I really had nowhere to go, the rabbi said, "Do you want a bed? Do you want to sleep here?" And I said, "Yes." And I stayed there, and I started learning and growing and coming closer to Yiddishkeit. And eventually, the rabbi and the Rebbitzin, they married me off, and they encouraged me to continue learning Torah, and here I am today. I am a dayan in Yerushalayim. And at that point in time, Elisha was so moved to continue his holy work, yet his bus stop had arrived, and he was about to get off the bus, but he turns to the rabbi and he said, "Wait, you didn't tell me. Who was this rabbi who took such good care of you?" And he looked at him and he said, "It was Chacham Ovadia Yosef." Rav Ovadia and his Rebbitzin recognized that even though this boy had reached rock bottom, he was called the criminal. It seemed like there was no hope for him to ever come back. Yet they still saw deep within him that possibility, that pinta yid, that desire to come back, even though the boy himself didn't even recognize it. You know, the Gemara in Menachos tells us that at the time of the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash, Avram Avinu came to the Beis Hamikdash itself, and Hashem said to him, "What are you doing here?" And he said, "I come on behalf of my children." Hashem said, "I'm sorry, but they've sinned." And Avram said back, "Listen, maybe it was unintentional." Hashem said, "No, it was intentional." "Maybe it was only a minority of the Jews that sinned." No, Hashem said back, "It was a majority." "Maybe if you would have waited, Hashem, a little longer, they would have done tshuva." Hashem said, "No, there's no way. They were sinning deliberately. They were joyous. They were excited when they were doing the Averos." And at that point in time, Avram broke down crying. And he said, "Is it possible that there is no hope for my children?" And then a bas kol came out. And Hashem said that I compare Klal Yisrael to a moist olive tree, a beautiful fruit. That just as an olive tree doesn't bear fruit for a very long time, so too Klal Yisrael will eventually attain greatness. Even though you don't see it now, Klal Yisrael will reach that greatness. It just takes time to get there. If you stop and you think about this, Gemara is unbelievable. Avram Avinu, who loves his children so much, yet he himself even gave up on the Jewish people, thinking that there's no hope, thinking that they're so far gone, thinking that they can never come back. Yet what's HaKadosh Baruch Hu's approach? Hashem says, "I could see deep within them, even though they sunk so low. Deep within them is that pinta yid, is that ability to grow, is that deep desire to come back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu." And Hashem said, "I know that it will happen." Let's recognize our great kochos this Tisha B'Av, that we too can come back to Hashem, we too can live a life of Torah and mitzvos, and we too can bring back the Beis Hamikdash.